Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Annette, also known as Grandma D. We are continuing on the Paradigm quilt. This is a beautiful single block quilt that we are putting together. And we are on part 2. The first part of the quilt that we did was our economy block portion, which is this piece right here. Isn't that huge? Beautiful. I'm so excited. So the economy block is part 1. And today we are going to work on part 2. Now, part 2, if you have a pattern in front of you, part 2 is flying geese, and it is on page 5 of your pattern. Okay, you should have your pieces all ready to go. Now, as I had said in my previous video, I had gone ahead. Blocks E that we had cut out required the line drawn on down the center, because we are going to sew on each side of the line as part of making flying geese. And we are doing the 4 at a time flying geese method, which is new to me. I've never done them like that, so we're going to learn this together. So, and then we are going to have 4. I have these all separated. It requires 4 of the white E block for each piece of the color blocks, and we have 2 blocks in sea mist and 2 blocks in beaches. Look at these things, they're huge. That's going to be 1 flying geese, half that. So if you take this section and picture a flying geese, that's the biggest flying geese you ever saw. So anyways, we'll go ahead and get started. This is so fun. This quilt is really a lot of fun. I'm pretty excited because I've never done one like this before. So, okay. So, we're going to start. I am going to be starting with the sea mist. And both of these are block D. And the directions tell us to use 1 D square and 4 E squares to make 4 flying geese. So this is going to make us 4. Okay, 4, not 2, 4. 4. We'll figure it out. I don't know. So, anyways, let's see. We want to place 2 E squares on your larger D square, right sides together, on an angle on the block facing each other. So they are going to go together like this right here. Okay, that's how that's going to look. And the lines that we have drawn on our blocks will match up. So we're going to take 2 of those. Now I'm going to lay it out over here on my iron, and then I will show you once I get it in place and get it pinned. Now, when you lay these out, each of your blocks has a line drawn on it, and you're going to want those lines to touch on the corners. So we're going to lay 1 there, and we're going to put 1 on the other end. And I know you really can't see this very well, but you can see right there how I've got it lined up. Now I'm going to pin. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish pinning this and get it pinned, and then we'll be back. Okay, boy, those required a lot of pins. They're really big. So I went ahead and I pinned down both of my sea mist blocks. So this is how I pinned them. Now, like I said, don't be afraid to use pins. Okay? No shame in pins. So now what we need to do is we are going to sew a 1/4 inch on each side of our drawn line. Okay, and as I said, because these blocks are so big and my Seam So Easy guide is so tiny, it's not going to work out. So that's why I drew my lines. Otherwise, normally I would not do that. So, and we can chain piece these and then just go around and around and around like a normal quilt block. So once we get these sewn, then we will cut down the center on the drawn line, and then we'll move on to the next phase. But before we do that, I will sew these, and then I'll stop. I'll pin my beaches ones, and we'll run through those. Then we'll cut everything, okay? So now this has to be a 1/4 inch. So because of the type of foot that I have on my machine, it's gonna be a little wonky, and it's not gonna be perfection because I can't see my line and I don't have a 1/4 inch foot. So I'm just gonna do the best I can and try and be scant. And I'm gonna try and eyeball it on my presser foot to keep it straight. I will turn this a little bit so you can see. There, see, my presser foot is wider, and I know that my 1/4 inch seam line is just inside the edge of my presser foot by a few millimeters. So I'm going to try and eyeball it and follow that down. That looks pretty good from what I can see in the back. And looking at the back of the presser foot back here, it looks pretty good. It might be a little scant, but I'd rather be a little scant and have to, you know, cut a little off than have it be too small. Now, and this is where our two pieces are going to meet up. Now, you want to make sure that your lines match up when you're laying this out. You want to make sure your lines match up. You can pin as much as you need to. I'm going to go slow here so that I can make sure I grab everything. There we go. Yeah, that looks pretty good. That looks like a good solid. Yeah, I need to see if I can get a 1/4 inch foot for this machine. That will be really helpful, especially if I'm gonna make this quilt again. It's gonna require that, clearly. So now we're going to grab our other piece and do the same thing. We're going to be on the other side this time, though. We're going to be on the other side. Let's see that. Let me see. Let me look at that. There's my line right there. Okay. Okay. Because I can kind of eyeball it out of the get-go on my Seam So Easy guide, but then it covers it up and I can't see it anymore. Yeah, that looks okay. That looks okay. I'm happy with that. And then we'll turn them around and do them the opposite direction. So I hope that you were able to have a chance to watch the first video that we did earlier today, because this is still the same day. Today is still Saturday. And I just wanted to keep going, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to get caught up and be able to be ready to do the flying geese with me today. I hope that someday I will be at the point where I will be able to have live sewing. But at this point, I don't have any moderators, and I have not done a live event on YouTube before. So I'm a little nervous about that whole thing. But if you would like to do a live sewing with me, maybe like an hour or two on a Saturday or something, you know, if you would like to do that, please let me know in the comments if you think that's something that you would be interested in. And I will most certainly try to make that happen. Absolutely. I think it would be fun. And I see other people doing it, and it looks like a lot of fun. So I think we should give it a whirl. Okay, so now we were on the opposite side here. Okay, let's see. And because I've got this foot on here, it might not be totally accurate. I might be off just a little bit on my the size of my flying geese. Let's see, the pattern says that for the throw size, each flying geese unit should measure 8.5 by 16.5. That's a big one. So I was like, holy smokes. Yeah. Yep. I should have checked my bobbin before I started today, but I did not. I had a fresh bobbin in here when we started this whole project with the economy block, so I should be okay for a little bit. So I'd like to know what colors you're using for your quilt. If you're sewing with me, and if you are, what colors you're using. And if you've ever done a quilt like this before, that would be interesting. I would like to know that for sure. Okay. Now we're on side 2 of the second block. Yeah, that looks a little smaller than the other side. I might wind up having to trim it down a little bit more, but that's okay. I'd rather have to do that than, as I said, have it be too small. And I pinned everywhere on this bad boy. I was not ashamed to pin. I didn't want these to move around at all on me, which could totally happen. Okay, now we're going to pull this one off. There. Now we've got this first one sewed on both sides of our line. 3 lights and I still have trouble. We're on both sides of that sewn line. And I'm just going to lay that one aside over there for right now. I'm going to pull the pins out, I think. And we are going to pin the beaches one together. I'm going to pin both of those together. And then we will sew those up and then we'll cut it. So we have the beaches ones, the other 2 colorway, whatever one you're using, sewed up or pinned up. Pinned up and ready to sew. So we're going to do that one now. So I am pretty excited about trying this new method of doing flying geese that I have not done before. Have you ever done the 4 at a time method before? That's totally new to me. And I am anxious to see how they're going to turn out. I've heard of it. Like I said, I think I've seen Kimberly Jolly talk about it, and I actually have her flying geese papers. They're half square triangles. I have her half square triangle on a roll papers in 2 sizes, and she does make papers for flying geese as well. That's what got me thinking about that. I am not an affiliate at all for Fat Quarter Shop. But I do love their stuff, and I have bought, like I said, I bought a couple of Kimberly's books that they put out. I bought the triangles on a roll. I bought fabric and other things from them. They're a really nice shop. And I watched an interview between where they interviewed her and her husband. And I was very impressed by her husband's level of integrity and how he talked about how they wanted their customers to feel valued and appreciated, and how he knew that without the customers, you know, Fat Quarter Shop wouldn't be. And I just think that's really wonderful that people care, and they contribute a lot to charities. They do a lot of Make-A-Wish charity work. Oh, I'm a little off right there. Shoot. Just enough to be a problem, I think. We'll see. But they, like I said, they do a lot of charity work with Make-A-Wish Foundation and other things. And she works with other content creators, and they make quilts and auction them off and donate that money to charity. Last year, they had like 5 or 6 content creators, I think, and they made quilts and they auctioned them off for charity, and I was just blown away by what I saw. I don't never say never, but the quilts they did were so lovely. They were so beautiful. I was just blown away. And they do that every year. I can't remember what the charity is that the funds go to. I don't think it's Make-A-Wish. It could be, but I want to say I thought it was different. But maybe it's Make-A-Wish. And then Cotton Cuts, which is the generator of our pattern. Well, not the generator, but they carry the pattern. Cotton Cuts, they do a lot of charitable donations as well. And I just watched her the other morning on a video. She was talking about a charitable event that they're working with where they are donating portions of certain proceeds to an organization that makes beds, bunk beds and regular beds for children who are so poor and so destitute that they don't even have a bed to sleep in. How sad is that? That in this country, in this great country of America that we live in, children don't have a bed to sleep in. That's just so sad. I just cried. I was like, are you kidding me? And she said the company is open to having people come in alongside and donate blankets, quilts, and bedding for these children, because sometimes they get the bed and they don't have any bedding. Yikes. And I'm like, you know, my children used to tell me we didn't have a lot of money when they were growing up. And my kids used to tell me, you know, Mom, we never knew we were poor. I mean, that's a parent's goal, right? Where if they can't afford to buy something for their children, that they don't have to go to school feeling like, I can't have that because I'm poor. I just told them they couldn't have it. That they didn't need it. They didn't know that I didn't have the money back then. And I just hate to think that there are children out there that don't even have a bed to sleep in. You know? So, kudos to Cotton Cuts and to Quarter Shop and these places who make so much money for those of us who quilt as recreation. And they can donate to these charities and help these kids. That is just a lifeline for them. That's a lifeblood for them, and I think it's wonderful. So, we are ready to pull these off. Now I am going to, oh, which one's the top? This one. You got to look, which one's a shinier? Which one's more dense looking? That's the top. These little squares are so tiny. And I know there's a whole movement of people who like doing tiny stuff. There's this one lady I follow. Her squares are 3/4 and 1/2 inch. Doesn't even enough to sew in my mind, you know, but that's what makes her happy. So good deal. All right. So we've got our beaches ones done here now. So now I'm going to go through and I will cut one and show you what that looks like. So we got one over here that I have unpinned. So I'm going to get my ruler and my handy dandy slicer dicer. And I'm going to cut this down this mark that we made yesterday on here. Okay. I'm working on my Sue Daily rotating cutting mat today. I have a couple of cutting mats that I really love, and this is one of them. I use this a lot for my, I'm currently working on the Queen of Diamonds EPP quilt, and I'm not even close to being caught up on that one, but that's okay. All right, so we have the first one cut, and figure 20, let's see, figure 2C shows it as cut, and then over here, this is what they look like when they're opened up. And according to our directions, we need to press our seams open. So we need to fold these up and press our seams open. And then when you do, this is what your first step is going to look like. It looks just like the picture. So I'm going to get the pins out of these other 3, and I'm going to make my cuts, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we have all of our initial flying geese units. I ironed them all out, and I pinned on the last unit at the bottom on each one. So this is what they look like once we get through. This is the step where they were all ironed out and laying flat. And this is the step we're on right now. This is the 3rd white piece with the lines drawn on it. And we're going to sew through those lines. And then we're going to cut that apart. And then that will make our individual flying geese units. Now, what I did was, because I had this problem and I realized as I was ironing that I was going, you know, all off wonky, going rogue, and it was not going to work out. So what I did is I took my individual Lori Holt 1/2 inch seam guide, and it's a 1/4 inch on each side of this line right here. It's a 1/4 inch. So I laid that out, and it went from corner to corner on here, and I drew my lines on there as I went along. So now there will be no mistakes. So, and what we have to do is we have to sew on each side, so a 1/4 inch seam on each side of the diagonal line, figure 2G, which is, let's see, figure 2E, I'm sorry, 2E, right here, which is this one that I showed you before. And then we have to cut on the line and then press the seams open on all the individual pieces. It took a minute to iron all those out. So, yeah, quick sew, long press. All right, so we are going to get started here, and we are going to sew. Let me fix this. There. And we are going to sew these together. And I've got them all laid out here so I can chain piece. And I can sew right on this line, which is going to make life a lot easier for me. So hopefully one of these days I will be able to get a, whoops, I went the wrong way. I should have went the other way. Well, live and learn. Once I get if I can find a 1/4 inch presser foot for this machine, that will be great. Okay. Now we'll put the next one, and I think they do need to go this way. I think they need to go point up instead of like V up. Where at the bottom, you see where the V is at the bottom. I think they need to start up here to make it easier to chain piece. I love this old machine. Makes me feel close to my mother as I use it. She taught me everything I knew about sewing as a child. She would be in her bedroom because that's where her sewing room was. She had a desk in there, and she had her sewing machine set up on it. And she would lay all her stuff out on her bed, and that's where she sewed. And so I was doing the same thing. I was in my room, and my dad had given me an old dresser, or an old desk rather, and I was sewing away on that. We would be doing that on a Saturday afternoon. And I was from the era as a teenager when Grease came out and when Smokey and the Bandit came out. And the shirt that Burt Reynolds wore, that red shirt, Western cut shirt that he wore in the movie, I made one and I wore it when I was in high school. And I sure wish I still had that shirt, but it's long gone. That would have been a really good memory to have had I still had it, but that's okay. I still have it in my mind, right? It's in my mind's eye. But yeah. So, what kinds of things did you sew? Did any of you sew as a child, or did you do you sew things now as an adult that are favorite things that you do besides quilting? That would be interesting to know. I would like to know that. That would be very interesting. And compare a little notes as to what everybody likes to do. That's always fun. I got these last pins a little close to my seam. I had to pull them out. Well, we're through the first row, the first line of the Beaches ones. Now we're moving on to the Sea Mist. This is a pretty neat way to do flying geese, I have to say. I just like, this is kind of quick. I mean, it's, you know, you got to iron anyway. So if you got to iron them anyway, you know, why not make it quicker? That one is not quite right. I knew a couple of these were going to be off because my seams were off when I did the initial. But that's okay. This one should be, because I drew my lines this time. I wish I'd have done that last time, but I didn't think it through. But now I drew these on with my lead pencil. Like I had told you before in my first video, or the first sewing video, that sometimes I just use a regular old lead pencil, and that's what I did. Just piling these up here on my other ironing board. I have another ironing board off here to my left. It's a full-size one. I set it up because I didn't know, because I knew these pieces were going to get pretty large. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to need that or not today. So I sure look forward to being able to sew on Saturdays. It's like I come in here and I get away from everything. And it's just me and my sewing machine. Last one, then we got to turn around and go the other direction. This machine goes pretty fast. It can really kick up some dust. I have to say, my Singer's pretty fast, but this one's pretty fast too. It does a good job. Does a good job. Okay, now we are going to do the other seam on the other side. This one off the back so I don't forget about it. This was the last one that was only sewn on one side. Okay. Number 2. Okay, number 3. Number 4. I better pull those out of there. I don't want them to go down behind there. It's super dusty back there. There's probably Major League Dust Bunnies back there. Okay, so we've got our, this is what they look like with the seam sewed on both sides of our cut line. I'm going to toss those over there because those are done. Okay, now onto this one. Now we're starting the beaches ones. One thing this machine does have is it's got a little bit of a clutch issue. Oh, I had one more green one over here. Every once in a while, it doesn't want to take off, and I have to help it with the clutch on the side of the machine, which is fine. It's no big deal. And like, since I've been using it regularly, like I'm in here almost every night for a little while, and since I've been using it regularly, that problem has kind of subsided. And I'm wondering if it's just because it was sitting, because it sits in my closet in a case until I use it, and then I pull it out. So, I mean, that could have been all it was. It could have just been because it was sitting. That's always a possibility. Okay, we've got, I think, 2 left up here. 1, 2, 3. We have 3 left up there to do. Where's our, here it is. Oh, there's the leader right there. Okay. This part goes quick. And we got to iron again. fast sewing, slow ironing on this project. I got a glass over here with iced tea in it. Oh, I keep bumping it. So what is your favorite beverage of choice when you're sewing? Do you drink iced tea or do you drink soda? Do you drink coffee? Do you like to drink adult beverages? What do you enjoy? That would be nice to know what everybody does. I usually have coffee in the morning and then I migrate to water or iced tea in the afternoon. Last one. Then it's pins out. Iron and see where we're at. And I think, let me see here. Once we cut this seam open and iron them, they should be individual flying geese, like that. And we might even have time to sew our block units together, our geese units, which I think is the next step. Let's see. I need a ender. That's the pink. Now I need blue and yellow because I want to put the pink in the middle. This is what they looked like. Isn't that cute? With the pink black in the middle. That's so cute. And then the colors on opposing corners. I think that's super cute. Yeah, my other one did not turn out like that. The first one that I did. It did not turn out like that. And that's what I had in my mind's eye. There goes that mind's eye again. Okay. Clip that. Cut these apart. Okay, one more here. Okay. Now we have our whole big pile over there. All ready to cut. I'm going to take the pins out. I'm going to cut these. Get them ironed. And then we'll have a look at them. Okay, so I have all of our flying geese. They are all unpinned, ironed, and I have them all squared up to 8.5 by 16.5, and they're just beautiful. They're just huge. They are just huge. These are my seafoam ones. Aren't those beautiful? I just love the color. They're going to be so pretty. It's going to be such a beautiful quilt. And these are the beaches. The word escaped me there for a second. These are the beaches. Beautiful, just beautiful. I'm so excited. So we have those all done. There's a lot of those bad boys. Let me just tell you, if you haven't done yours yet, there's a few. It takes a few minutes. So, so we have this portion. Page 5 is completed on our quilt. And we are going to move on. We have a little time left. We're at 40 minutes. So, and I'd like to round this out at an hour. So the next step we have is we're going to take our F squares. We're going to do our corner units. We're going to do these corner units. These should go fairly quickly. It's just 3 seams for each unit. We're going to take our F pieces and our F background pieces, and we're going to put those together, and then we're going to put a G unit, which is a longer background unit. We're going to put those at the bottom. So that will be our next step. So there. Now I had to unplug my ring light again and plug in my phone. So it's just being a stinker today. It's just sucking up that charge. So that's what we're going to do here. These are our F backgrounds and our F in Spadina. So we are going to put those together, right sides together. If you have two fabrics that are printed, I have one plain and one printed, and they are squared, so we don't have to worry about that. We're going to put those together. And we're going to run right through them. There's just 4. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, 4. So I'm probably not going to pin these. So I don't really need to, as far as I can see. But if you want to pin them, by all means, pin. Okay. Make sure these are straight. You want to make sure your corners are matched up and that you're straight if you're not going to pin. And we are a solid halfway through our quilt. It's going to take at least one more video to put everything together. And it's just looking so great. I'm looking over there at those pieces that are put together, and I'm just getting excited. So I hope that you have picked out some beautiful colors that you are very satisfied with for your quilt. And in case I didn't mention it before, this is Saturday afternoon, mid-April 2024. If you're coming up on this video and it's a few years down the road or whatever, we're in April of 2024. It's been a beautiful day, and I don't know if I mentioned it, but I did go for a run this morning, and I got 4 miles in. I do intermittent running, and I also walk as well, and I have a bicycle that I enjoy. I haven't had my bike out yet this year, but I'm hoping that maybe next week I can have my bike out and go for a ride on that. I have a 22 speed, I think it is. 22 speed bike. I bought one with more speeds so that I could take it for longer rides, go for extended bike rides with it. As far as I've gone on it a couple of years ago was like 25 miles, I think. I typically, when I go for a ride, like after work or something, I go 15 miles or so, because I have to go that many miles in order to get in the same amount of exercise and calorie burning as I would if I ran 4 miles or if I walked 4 or 5 miles. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Okay, that was quick. Put those together. We need to create one of our pieces for the 9 patch. So that needs a yellow on the other end of the white. Yeah, it needs a yellow. Boy, I'll tell you, it's really easy to lose track of where you're at with these little buggers. Okay. So we're going to cut these apart. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to iron these flat. And I'm guessing that they want me to, let's see. Okay, and she mentions in here that she says, I suggest laying out the pieces for each corner as they will appear in your quilt to be sure the fabrics are going the right direction if you have a directional fabric. So that is just an FYI for anyone using a directional fabric. And she does have directions throughout the pattern mentioning if you have directional fabric. Okay, so she doesn't say if she wants us to iron these seams flat. So I am just going to pop my ironing board back up here because I was trimming up those pieces. So I'm going to pop this up here and I'm going to iron these really quick and then we will put the bottom piece on. Have to set your seam. And then what I typically do is I turn it over and I press the seam open with my fingers and then I iron it flat. And sometimes I turn it over and I give it an iron on the back or however I'm doing it as well, just to make sure it's nice and flat. There's one. And these will go quickly. Turn it over, press it out with your fingers. That makes sure that the fabric you don't have a little fold over, because sometimes that can happen and then your pieces don't line up because you've got that little fold over, and that's always a problem. Set your seam. Okay, and then we will iron that one. Boy, this fabric is so pretty. I love this spadina. It's just really pretty. It is right up my alley with the grays and the dark burgundies. I like darker fall colors and such. And so that's really nice. There. Now, look out, Toby. He's right here under my feet. Every time I move my chair, he's right under my feet. There we go. Okay, so now we are going to take the longer G's. I'm going to throw these under the iron really quick because I got that crease as they've been laying there for a few days. Okay, now we're going to take this off of here, and each G piece, these pieces are going to go this way so that the color is to the left and the solid is to the right according to the picture here. And you want to make sure you don't get them turned around, because I think that might be a problem if we got them turned around the wrong way. So we're going to take our G. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin these. So I'm just going to take a minute and I'm going to pin all these so they are like this, sewed to pinned together and ready to sew. And then we will get those whipped up. Okay, now I have these all pinned. There's one thing that I think is worth mentioning. If you look at the picture, here, the color is on the left and then the G is on the bottom. So you want to make sure before you sew them that when you open them up, that's how they're going to look to you. That the G, the color, or the F, color F is on my left, color F solid is on my right, and when you're done, your G piece will be on the bottom. It would be a real bummer if you got them all sewed up and they were upside down and backwards. Because they would be upside down and turned around, and we don't want that. So we are going to go ahead and sew all 4 of these together on a 1/4 inch seam allowance. It's so easy to get your quilt pieces turned around and going the wrong direction. Ugh. That is so aggravating. So aggravating. Oh my goodness. Sometimes I just got to walk away when that happens and come back another day because I get kind of frustrated with the whole thing. But I did buy a really cute little it's a little thing I got from Rev Fab Stash. It's an awl with a seam ripper on the other end. And I'll finish this and then I'll show it to you. It is really cute. Whoops. Almost lost my pen. And I got it on one of her live sales, and it's really cute. And I've only had to use it a couple times, but I have the awl out here to be able to guide my items through the machine if I need to. I wouldn't need it as much on this one machine, but I think I would need it more on my Singer just because of how it's set up. Then you close it, and it clicks. I don't know if you can hear that. It's got a little arrow on this side. It's by Taylor and Seville. And then when you push it out on the other side, there's a little seam ripper there. That is really nice. And what I like about it is there's no lids to get lost. And it's really just a 2-in-1 tool. And that is so handy. And I just love that. So I thought I would just show you that really quick. And you could probably use my link and go to the Rev Fab Stash page if you thought you might like to have one and get one for yourself for your sewing machine table. I have a couple of regular style seam rippers, but I like that handle because it's bigger around and it's got the rubber grips on it. It's bigger around because I have had carpal tunnel surgery, and smaller things like these pens and stuff, I can feel it in my hand. They're kind of hard to handle for me. So something bigger, like a bigger pen and bigger ink pen, like my ink pens have a larger shaft than some of the narrower Bic pens because those are easier for me to handle. As is the Frixon pen. It's a bigger shaft as well, which I was glad to see when I got it. I always look for that. That's 2 corner pieces. This is number 3. And the pillow, I mean, the pieces are 1/3 the size for the pillow as they are for the quilt. I'm like, that's going to be a big difference. Oh my goodness. We may do the pillow in a separate, like, it'll be on the same series, but it'll be like the Paradigm quilt, and then I'll call it like the pillow segment. Oop, that stuff is starting to pull back there. Pillow segment or something like that. So if you don't have your pillow yet and you want to do one, you'll need to go get yourself a 20 by 20 pillow form. And I did show it on my initial video, but this is my pillow form. This is the pillow form I got, and this is a pretty big pillow, okay? It said 20 by 20, and that's what this is. And it's by Soft and Crafty Premium Pillow Form. Enjoy the downy light comfort. And it's washable, non-allergenic, and creates really nice results. And I've had these pillow forms before, and they really do. And I bought this at a local quilt shop here by me when they closed. So I don't know if like Joann's has it, or I can look and see if it's available on Amazon, and if it is, I can link it as an additional item in the notes below, and you can just get it off Amazon through my link, because I am an Amazon affiliate, and so you can do that if you like, or use your local quilt shop, because I totally recommend, if you can go there and get something from your local quilt shop and help support your local community, well, by all means, you should do that. Because actually, my local quilt shop is where I wound up getting my background fabric for this quilt. Because, as I had said in my other video, I think it was my preparation. Let's see, what was it? When did I bring that up? I don't think it was the initial video. It might have been the second one. I had ordered the fabric and then it didn't come. Missouri Star had a miss something. They had a miss on their website and they did not have it. And so they canceled the order, which probably worked out better for me because I think it would have been too buttery yellow and it wouldn't have worked. And this khaki is perfect. So, I mean, if you want to go with these colors, I would recommend the khaki for your background. And I went to my local quilt shop for that. So I was pretty excited about that because it's been a long-standing quilt shop in the community by my house. And Delphine, the lady that used to have it, she sold it to this new girl and they changed names. And so in doing so, you know, she took on all Delphine's customer base, but then she's trying to develop her own as well. So I was really happy to be able to support her whenever I can. So now these pieces, now they say they want us to press the seams open, but I don't know. Maybe this long one, but I am not pressing this one open. I may press this one open because that's what they want us to do. But this is our corner piece. And this is what they're going to look like. And these will go in each of the 4 corners. I'll show you what that looks like. Here. This is the last page. Oh, let's do this one. This is better. This shows them better. Okay, this, here, 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 and here. Okay, those are the corner pieces. And we have all our flying geese prepared. And we have our corner pieces prepared. And I am going to, after off camera, I'm going to go ahead and iron these and get them ready. So I'm just going to toss these over there for now. We have 4 of those. We have our flying geese all prepared. We have our economy block prepared. And we are getting super close. I'm so excited. So for the next video, we will be putting together our flying geese. That will be the next step. And if you have your pattern in front of you, this is all on page 6, the corner blocks, and putting our flying geese blocks together. Yay. And then, so then the next one, we will put the flying geese together and we will begin putting our quilt together. We should be able to put the flying geese together and finish putting together this part of the quilt. And we may save, depending on time, because I'm trying to put each video at an hour. So, and we are just a few seconds over an hour right now. So, and then if we have to, we will put the borders on and maybe talk a little bit about the binding. And by then I should have my binding cut and have that ready to sew it together, because I'm really thinking that I want to do a pieced binding with all of my leftover pieces, because I've got a little bit of background left. And I'm going to be using the Midtown for that. And it's a beautiful fabric. And I think if I combine that with the background, if I have enough, I think that'll be really cool. So that's my plan. So I'm hoping that you are enjoying sewing this video with me and that you will come back next time. And we will be here for video 3 of construction. This is number 2. Video 3 of construction will probably be next weekend. And then I have, let me see. Yeah, I have a few things going on next weekend, but we will do our best to come back for the next segment, which will be the putting the flying geese together and start piecing the quilt together. So depending on time, that's our plan. So we will see you in the next video. So this is Grandma D saying, I hope that you have a wonderful night tonight and a better day tomorrow. And know that I think about you and I care about you and I hope that you're well. So that's a wrap for today. So this is Grandma D saying bye-bye for now.